Earrings, and I'm going to call them the Calendula earrings, and that's because I love the flower calendula, and I'm actually growing them in my house right now. I have a little room that I call my grow room, and I'm growing them under grow lights, and they're so pretty and so cheerful during these winter months. So here's the earring, and just I think it's so cute. I am using some of the beads from Eureka Crystal Beads Vintage Dreams collection. So that's this collection. If you have it, it's a couple of months old, I think, but it's got these beautiful sort of fuchsias and yellows and oranges and greens, really pretty. Like here are some of the bicones from that collection. I don't know if it's still available. I'll link it down below if it, and so if you are interested, you can take a look and see if it's still available. I'm sure you can get all the beads separately. I also made this pendant, which I absolutely think is so pretty for spring as well. So we're going to start with the earrings. So let's get a materials list going so we can make these cute little earrings. Get a materials list going. So you need two 12mm Rivolis. You'll need a Miyuki 11-0, and in the collection, so everything I'm using except for one bead is in the collection, and I'll show you that in a minute. So in the collection there was this Miyuki mix, and it had two pink beads in it. It had this one, and then the bugles and all those 15-0s and such. So I separated them out because I wanted to just use these metallics. So you need an 11-0, and then I've got a Toho 11-0. I've got a Toho Treasure, and all the colors and everything will be listed below, and a link to the collection if it's you'll be able to see if it's still available. I've got a 15-0 Toho, and then the only bead I added was this 15-0 Miyuki. Okay, so it's all the seed beads. I've got a 2mm fire polish. Here's a little stop bead, a pair of ear wires, and look at these gorgeous bicones. These are from the collection. I'm sure you can get all this separately as well. I just used two of the bicones, but just you have so many pretty colors here. And then I've got some Fireline 6-pound thermally fused tuff, my favorite, and so reasonable on Amazon. This is a great deal. I'll link that down below as well. And a needle case filled with all different size needles. Get started. So thread your needle with about 40 inches of thread, put on a stop bead about in the middle because we're going to use both sides of that thread. So here we go, and now we're going to pick up and drop down to that stop bead 30 delicas or Toho Treasures, whichever, cylinder beads. I'm going to sew these into a circle by sewing through the first bead after my stop bead, and that's going to be right here, like that. This is what it looks like. We'll work our standard peyote bezel. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a delica. We're exiting this delica. We're going to skip a delica and then sew through the following one. So we're skipping one, sewing through the following one. And just put your thumb on it. Like if you're a beginner and you're not, you haven't done this that much, just want to do that. Put your thumb on it and give it a pull. And that bead should sit up on the previous bead, just like this. If it doesn't, you want to push it over so that it will sit right on top of that bead. Okay, so we're going to pick up another one. So picking up a delica, exiting a delica, skipping the next one, sewing through the following one. So just like that, put your thumb on it, give it a little pull, and you just want to make sure that it pops right up on that previous bead. So just like that. Let's do it again. Pick up a delica, exiting this delica, skipping a delica, sewing through the next one. So it's easier to see it now that I've got a few on. So just like that. That's what we have so far. So you can do that all the way around, and then we'll step up together. Down my last few beads. So here I'm exiting here. I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to put on another one. And then our next one we're going to use to step up. So we're going to pick up a delica, exiting here. So you want to skip this one, and you're going to sew through this next delica and the one on the diagonal. So see, just like that. And that's going to step us up so we can put some more beads on. So this is what it looks like so far. This is what we have so far. So now we're going to add some 15-0s. So we're just going to pick up a 15-0, and we're just going to sew through each sticking out bead. So exiting here, I'm going to sew through this one, like so. And I'm just going to keep doing that all the way around, picking up a 15-0, sewing through the next sticking out bead, or sometimes it's called an up bead if you want to get technical. So like that. So you're just going to do that all the way around, and then we'll step up. You'll just notice as I'm going around, see how it's starting to curve? So I'm giving it a little pull inward. I'm not, pulling it super tight, just enough so it starts to curve. So finish that round and we'll step up. I'm going to put on my last 15-0 and step up. So I'm exiting this delica. I'm going to sew through this delica and then this 15-0 on the diagonal. Okay, this is what it looks like. Oh, I'm a little blurry, so let's back off. There you go. This is what it looks like. Let's add another round of 15-0 so we can do that exact same thing. So exiting a 15-0, you're just going to put a 15-0 in between each sticking out bead, which is going to be the 15-0s. So just like this. So you're just going to do that all the way around, and then we'll step up. Coming down to the last 15-0, so we're exiting this 15-0. I'm going to sew through the next 15-0, and then the one on the diagonal. Get my needle in there. So just like that. Now we have our 2 rounds on. I'm just going to put this needle and thread aside. We're going to get back to this in a little bit. I'm just going to turn my piece around to the other side, and I'm going to take off my stop bead and thread my needle. Okay, so I've threaded my needle, so now I'm on the other side, and you'll be exiting a delica or treasure. Sorry, I always call them delicas. It's kind of like calling a tissue a Kleenex, right? It's really just a tissue. It's just a brand. So it's a cylinder bead, but I'm always going to call it a delica. Anyway, so here we're exiting this delica. This is the other thread. I'm just going to sew on the diagonal through this bead, this delica right here, so I can get to the outside, so I can add some more beads on. Got my stone in, and this is what it looks like. So we're just going to add 2 rounds of 15-0s now. So we're exiting the delica, put on a 15-0, another 15-0, like so. I'm just going to let you do that all the way around, and we've stepped up a few times already, so step up and put another round of 15-0s on. So you'll have 2 rounds of 15-0s on. Coming down to the end of my last round, so that's the second round of 15-0s, I'm just going to step up here. So picking up my 15-0, I'm going to sew through the next 15-0, and then that 15-0 on the diagonal. So just like that. Pop that into place, give it a little pull, and this is what I have so far. This is what we have so far. So here is, I'm exiting this 15-0 right here. So I want you to move your thread through this 15-0. So we're just going to work our way down to the delicas, and then this delica. So on the diagonal, so no thread is showing. So I'm exiting that first round of delicas after the 15-0s right there. Exiting this delica right here. So now we're going to make it into a calendula flower, because we're going to use this gorgeous, gorgeous color 11-0. So I'm exiting the delica. I'm going to pick up this 11-0, and I'm going to sew through the next delica. I'm going to pick up an 11-0, sew through the next delica. Going to do that all the way around. So exiting this delica, picking up an 11-0, sewing through the next delica. So just do that all the way around. Coming down to the end and putting my last 11-0 on. So exiting this delica, I'm going to sew through this one. That's the original one we started with. So just like that, just to place that last 11-0 on. I love that. It's so cute. All right, let's continue. Okay, this is what we have so far. We put the last 11-0 on. So that's this guy. Right there. We're exiting this delica right here. I'm just going to advance my needle from this delica just on the diagonal to this one. So right there. That's where you want to be exiting, so we can add some more beads. So just like that. Next up, I'm going to pick up some 15-0s, and these are going to be these green ones, and they're the Toho 15-0s. They're a little different shape from a Miyuki 15-0. I think they seem slightly bigger to me. So I want to go from this delica here, that's where my thread is exiting, just to the next one. So we're just going to put that 15-0 right there. Now, if it, if there's thread showing, or if you think a bigger bead will fit there, that's fine too. If you want to put an 11-0 there, just make sure it doesn't buckle up. So I'm just picking up my beads, exiting a delica, sewing through that next delica. And that's how it's going to look. So you're going to do that all the way around. 15-0, exiting the delica, sewing through the delica right there, and then on through that first 15-0. This is what it looks like. This is the back. Here, this is what the front looks like. We're still working with this, the thread, the tail thread here. Okay, so this is where we're exiting this 15-0 right here. Another round, I'm going to pick up this 11-0. This is the Miyuki 11-0, and this is that pretty metallic pink or fuchsia color. Exiting this 15-0, I'm just going to sew through the next one. Just going to do that all the way around. And again, if you have another bead that you would prefer to put here, or maybe a 2mm would work here, it's up to you. As long as it's not buckling, as long as everything fits nicely, you can really decide to put. You can put a delica there if you want. But I think that looks so pretty. So this would be the front right here. Okay, so finish those pink metallic or whatever 11-0s you're using all the way around. Coming down to my last 11-0, exiting the 15-0, and I'm going to sew through this 15-0. And then you want to just move down a little bit. So through the 11-0, through the next 15-0. You just want to sort of finish the circle. So just popping through a few beads, and then you can actually either sew that thread in, or you can actually end up exiting one of your 11-0s, and we'll use that to put the clasp on. So whichever you want to do here, either end it, or we can add the clasp or the ear wire right there. This is what it looks like so far. Now we're going to flip it around, and we're going to grab the other thread. So we're on the back now, and you're exiting. Pull in super tight. You're exiting this 15-0 right here. You remember you put your 2 rounds of 15-0s on. I'm just going to advance through this 15-0, and then this delica right there. So that's where you want to be exiting. Okay, so we're on the back and we're exiting a delica. Now I'm going to pick up that Calendula color 11-0, and I'm going to sew through the next delica. So picking up the 11-0, exiting a delica, sewing through the next delica. So you just do that all the way around. Actually, this color is called opaque orange, but I would call it calendula. So we're just going to put these on all the way around. It'll be the back. So the back and the front will look pretty much the same. Putting on that last 11-0, so through the delica, and then you just want to just sew through some of the beads on this side, and you can clip off this thread, and then we will add the ear wire, this ear wire on. So you are exiting one of these 11-0s that we put on, this metallic 11-0 here. And we're going to work from this one to this one. So this is where we're going to put our ear wire. You can either add a thread, or if you want to use your tail thread, you can do that. So I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a 4mm bicone, and a 15-0. I'm going to drop those down. I'm going to skip the 15-0, and I'm going to sew through the 4mm bicone. And you want to make sure that goes, that's going to kind of push it down by pulling that little 15-0 on top of the bicone and pulling it down. See, just like that. Then you're going to pick up a 15-0, and you're going to sew through that other 11-0 that's on the other side. And that's going to place that on like so. What I have so far, I'm going to turn it on the back. I'm going to pick up a 15-0. I'm exiting this 11-0. I'm going to sew through this 11-0. I'm going to pick up another 15-0. I'm going to sew through this 11-0, just securing it on the back. I'm going to pick up another 15-0. I'm going to sew through this 11-0. So we're headed back up again, like that. And then you want to go through this 15-0, the bicone, and the 15-0 on the top of the bicone. So this is what it looks like. You'll be exiting. I just want to pop my 15-0 up. Okay, so there we go. So I'm exiting one side of the 15-0. And let me kind of, there we go. All right. So see that? You're exiting out of one side of the 15-0. That's important because you don't want to twist it around. Okay, so just like that. Pulled in super tight here. So I'm exiting one side of my 15-0 on top of that bicone. See, so that's where the hole is, and I'm exiting one side. Doesn't matter which side you should, but I've turned it over on the other, on the front. So exiting right here. I'm going to add a 15-0, 2mm fire polish, my ear wire, 2mm fire polish, and another 15-0. And I'm just going to sew through the other side of just that little 15-0 right there. That's on top of the bicone. So we're just going around. See, just like that. And you just want to push. You want to make sure it's going to fall out a lot, but you want to make sure that ring is in between the two fire polish beads, not on the thread. And then you're just going to come around again and exit this 15-0. So I'll just let you do that off camera, and I'll do that off camera. Okay, so I've come around again, and you see my thread is fraying, so I'm going to have to replace this, but we'll just keep moving on. So I've come around, I just went around again, and I'm exiting that 15-0 on top of the bicone. I'm going to sew, so you have two threads there through that, the ear wire now. I'm going to sew right down through the bicone. I get my needle in there. There we go. So just like that, exiting the bicone, and just make sure that ring stays in between those two fire polish beads. So pull nice and tight. So I'm exiting the bottom of this bicone here. So now you're just going to sew through what you've done before. I'm going to sew through this 15-0 and this 11-0. So that pink 11-0. I'm going to turn it on the back. And I'm just going to go through the same beads that I went through before, that I put on before. So the 15-0, the orange or calendula, 11-0, 15-0, 11-0, and then through the 15-0. There we go. And you can go through everything again, or you can just sew your thread in. So just see what works best. If it's nice and secure, just, you know, pull it nice and tight and sew that thread in, or you can go through it one more time. Okay, we're back and we're done, and I did end up going around again, and then I did sew my threads in on the back through some of these beads here that I had put on. So here we go. Here are our little earrings. Here's a little pendant, which we'll get to. But isn't that cute? I absolutely think they're adorable. I can't wait to wear them. I think making a ring with this would be so cute, or a bracelet, just add, you know, connect them. Or actually you can even do a bracelet like this, put two on the side and do that guy in the middle. I mean, so many options, so pretty. All right, so I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Take care, bye-bye.